Hey everyone, I'm an aspiring game developer working on an RPG called Fire, Fire, Fire. I'm working currently with two other developers. One is like the music maker, primary designer, and also primary writer, while the other one is primarily working on art. I've mostly focused on code right now, though I hope to contribute to like the design, writing, and some art going forward. This is just a basemark video to show what I've done the last 2 months. Going forward, I'm going to try to make devlog videos in a similar fashion to Thin Matrix for a few reasons. One, because I think there should be more content like that on YouTube. I don't know a ton of content besides Thin Matrix that is like this. Also simultaneously, I think it will get the game some exposure, at least I hope it will. And then finally, I think it will help me work on the game more habitually. It's much easier as a programmer, as many programmers will tell you, to work on projects irregularly where you're struck by inspiration, we'll work on it for like 2 days, and then you'll have a period of drought. I want to work instead more regularly. I think the code quality will improve for this. So I want to show what I've done so far, at least that I can show. There's some hidden things, like there's a huge framework for the characters and the ability to make characters, easy way to make abilities. There's a screen state machine it's called, but it's kind of hard to exactly show some of these things. So what I'm going to focus on instead is just showing a bit of the things I can show. So there's our little group name, Waffle Tree Games, and here's the main menu. This is not finalized in graphics. It's very simple. Right now it doesn't support mouse. It will, of course, eventually, but I focused on keyboard primarily as my first controller, as it's easier to just develop with one controller than two. And then the main thing I've been working on, though, is fighting the battles in the game, which are pretty complicated. So I'm going to quit the game and just explain the combat system a little bit. So basically, there's different types of attacks in the game. There are melee attacks like blunt attacks, stabbing, slashing. There's also ranged attacks like with a bow or a gun. And then there are different types of elemental attacks, a lot of different types, such as fire and water, but also weird ones like radioactive. So ultimately, characters have different stats. They have stuff like wisdom and luck and speed that contribute to combat and other things, but also they have strengths and weaknesses to, well, they're weak and immune and resistant to different types of attacks. So characters will have different types of abilities. There might be like a weak fire attack, but it's really good against a certain character because they're made out of straw, right? And they're weak to it. So a lot of stuff like that has been implemented into the game. Yeah, I just wanted to show that. So like Wolf Blood Pavlo has shoot and arrow, basic radioactive, and basic chemical. You can see you can pick a target. Severe pain, try a basic light attack, and then he looks almost dead. We're going to try a slash, save some stamina. You can see as we pick attacks, stamina is being consumed, and also as characters take their turn, they gain a bit of their power gauge, which allows them to eventually do an ultimate. The AI is also taking its turn. There's a really simple AI, but there's no animations in the game, so it kind of just takes its turn instantly. But there is counterplay. And you'll see also sometimes there's also sometimes like certain attacks will be blocked out. That's usually because those attacks, essentially, you don't have enough stamina to pay for them, but you can get around that by things like resting, for instance. So there's tactics, like you can go into guard stance, which gives you a bit of stamina back, also makes it so you take half damage than you normally would, so it can be a way to delay. But yeah, it's mixing different types of attacks and tactics. There aren't really any specials in the game, but they're easy to implement. They're pretty much attacks, or, for example, heals that have something special about them, but I made it so it's pretty easy to code some. You can make any of the basic like attacks. Like, for example, you could make an attack that's both like lightness and darkness. It applies both, and it might be a special, for instance. Not too hard to do with the code. But yeah, it's just the basic game. And then going forward, I wanted to mention that you can actually watch me basically in real time develop, because I've made a Trello with different items that I'm going to be working on. I have is a mild description of what it is, and then also 2 numbers. The first one is basically how important it is towards the game, and the second one is how much I individually am excited to do it. So generally I'll try to focus on the first number, but sometimes, say one day I'm just tired, I might choose to do something like this where it's not as important to the game, but I really am interested in it, so I'll just pick to do it on certain days. But most part I'm going to stick to the features I see as most crucial to the game. So yeah, that's my first video. I will have a video not on Saturday, this coming Saturday, but the Saturday after, showing what I've done over the week. See you guys.